Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Melissa and I help people navigate through their mental health journey. And in this video, I'm going to share with you guys my top 5 books to kickstart your holistic health and wellness journey. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So I know that last week with my video upload, it was a little bit more so on the deeper side, a little bit more so on the intellectual side, and I wanted to just take it easy this week and just ground myself, lighten up the mood a little bit and make things a little bit lighthearted with my videos. So the reason why I had this idea is because I was thinking about how when I first started, I didn't really know where to look as far as looking into alternative forms of healing modalities and looking for other ways to improve my overall mental health. These are 5 books that I found has really helped me. It was actually the 5 books that I was introduced to in my holistic nutrition certification course. And so yeah, I thought that this might be something that I wanted to share with you guys. If you are someone who is looking to create everlasting transformational change within yourself, the first place to start is to educate yourself on how to do that. Let's just go ahead and get started off with the books. Deeply Holistic, an intuitive guide to self-care. And this book, I would say, is a really good introduction to understanding how your body is deeply interconnected with each other. And one of the things that I really liked about it is that with Western medicine, there was always the approach and the concept and idea that every single system in the body functions independently of each other and that there is no relationship. But after reading this, I sort of resonated with some of the facts that I've learned about it, and it totally makes sense. This book walks you through the foundations and the basics of the human body, just a brief education on what each system is responsible for and how it functions, the relationships that it has with other systems in your body. Everything that you do affects every single part of your body, and so when one thing is out of balance, then the others are as well. What you are seeking ultimately is balance. In Western medicine, it is something that's known as homeostasis. If you are looking to have a shift in perspective and go deeper into understanding how the human body works and how we're deeply connected to nature and go really deep into some of the things that influences our health and all of that stuff, then that's definitely a great place to start. Next book that I wanted to share with you guys as far as my top 5 is How Not to Die. How Not to Die, this book I would say covers how a lot of our diseases in our current modern society today, whether or not it's cardiovascular disease, which is the #1 killer, Alzheimer's, even depression, all that stuff are actually caused from the foods that you eat. It'll walk you through all of the conducted studies that show that with the focus on diet and how your diet, good or bad, influences the outcome of your overall health. There's this new field of study called, what's it called? Epigenetics. Let's say, for example, cancer runs in your family. So a lot of us are conditioned to believe that if cancer runs in our family, then that's the fate of our health. Yes, that can be if you live a certain way and eat in a certain way. But at the same time, just because your family members had experienced cardiovascular disease, cancer, whatever, does not mean that that's the fate of your health. It just means that it's something that you're predisposed to, but you have control over the fate of your health. I realized with my mental health, I strongly believe that bipolar disorder, mental illness, and all that stuff runs in my family. It's encoded in my genes. But the thing is, being equipped with the knowledge and the skills on how to make sure that my mental health doesn't end up that way, I just have to take the right step in preventive care. This book, specifically one of the things or sections as part of this book that really drew me in was the How Not to Die from Depression. That's where I learned a lot about how certain foods that you eat, particularly chicken and meat, poultry, all that stuff, it contains arachidonic acid, which is a chemical compound found in those processed foods that we eat. When ingested, it interacts in our digestive system, our gut, which contains a second set of neurons. That's where the chemicals, neurotransmitters, and all that stuff are made in the body. And if you're ingesting foods that are toxic to your body, it can cause inflammation in the brain as well and can induce depression. I also learned about blue zones, and if you aren't familiar with that, blue zones, which is areas across the globe where the lifespan of the people that live there goes well beyond 100, and they are living with no illness, no diseases. They are as healthy as can be, even up to their old age. And then it really opened up my eyes. All of this stuff kind of sounds woo, because a lot of people, when they perceive holistic health and wellness, they think of hippie stuff. Everything that I've been reading is grounded in science, and so the science is there. We're finally living in a time where science and spiritual ideas and concepts are slowly integrating and merging with each other. And so now that I have this knowledge, there's no way that I can go back. So moving on to the next book. This one is called The Disease Delusion. Here, this is what it looks like. This picture says a lot right here. Let me see if I can read you guys like a summary. Okay, treatment of chronic diseases, diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, dementia, and many others is responsible for 78% of total healthcare costs in the United States. Yet, instead of identifying, preventing, or addressing their underlying causes, we're managing symptoms of these illnesses with pills and temporary remedies. In The Disease Delusion, we learn how to fundamentally change how we perceive illness and approach a cure. Dr. Jeffrey Bland leverages a lifetime on the cutting edge of research and practice to create a roadmap to good health by helping us understand our body's fundamental processes and the root causes of our chronic illnesses. Complete with self-evaluation questionnaires and sample meal plans, and supported by the most recent advances in health science, Dr. Bland's book is indispensable for anyone determined to live long and well. So this book will blow your mind. When I read about it, I was shook to the freaking core. You know why? Is because I was learning about how Big Pharma, I might make an actual video about this where I go a little bit more into depth about it, but Big Pharma, which is a huge pharmaceutical industry that has a lot of influence on our current health industry today, they actually exploit a lot of people's illnesses as far as mental health goes. After reading this book, it changed my perception of mental illness and mental health, because it exists on a spectrum. It really just depends on your genes and your genetics and whether or not they are expressed. I learned a lot about how the state of your health, your overall health and well-being, whether or not that's your physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, it's all influenced by your diet, your lifestyle, and your environment. Those are the things in your life that you have control over. Dr. Bruce Lipton, he talks about epigenetics, which is pretty much your perception of your environment. And then he talks about the placebo effects, and you know how sometimes in certain conducted studies there's the placebo group, and even having no medications and having the conviction and belief that you will get better says a lot. It's a very powerful insight. And so if we believe or have positive beliefs and thoughts that circulate our mind and has shown to have many health benefits, he also talks about the negative beliefs that we have and how that can play a role in our overall health and well-being. This book just really shook me to the core, and it made me realize that a lot of the diseases that we've always thought to be incurable or as a result of our fate because of our genes, and we don't have control over our genes, it's all a lie. I don't want to say a lie, but it's an outdated belief. Cancer can be reversible, depression can be reversible, anxiety can be reversible, chronic illnesses such as cardiovascular disease, that can all be reversed. Learning this and applying it and seeing the health benefits itself has been a game changer for me. That's why it's kind of inspired me to make videos and share this with you guys, because this is huge stuff. And then there's also a part of the book where it talks about the 7 core physiological processes of our body and how those core processes function and how they function in relation to each other. The huge thing is, as far as approaching health and wellness goes, the symptoms that we experience are signs from our body ringing the alarm, letting us know that there's something out of balance, right? And the thing is, with medication, we provide medication to alleviate the symptoms, but it doesn't get to the root cause, the underlying cause of our illness. That's why paying attention to your symptoms, it's your body pointing you in the direction to the source of your emotional, mental, physical, and maybe even spiritual pain. pain. So there's parts of the book that takes you through a series of questions and asks you about your symptoms, and then it'll tell you how to assess it, and it'll tell you how imbalanced those 7 physiological processes in your body are and what to do in going about bringing everything back into balance through diet. This is a book I definitely recommend. And then the next book that I recommend is called The Whole Foods Diet. I've been talking about this many times with the people in my life and talking about how adopting a whole foods plant-based diet is ideal for wanting to live a life of longevity, a life of optimal health and wellness, free from illness. It goes through what a whole foods plant-based diet is, some of the myths that we have been conditioned to believe about it, and there's also certain studies, and then there's case studies of people who had certain problems and they adopted a whole foods plant-based diet and their whole lives changed. And it also goes through certain techniques for approaching a plant-based diet and how to go about it. It also gives you certain recipes and how to cook stuff, how to make the most out of whole foods plant-based diet. A lot of times when we think about diet, nutrition, fitness, whatever, we all have this common perception that there's a one-size-fits-all approach. It completely disregards the fact that every individual and their genetic makeup and how their genes respond to foods in certain environment is different. We're all unique and we all have individual needs that are different from each other. The really great thing about adopting a whole foods plant-based diet is it can be tailored to your own individual needs and preferences. Literally what works for me might not work for you. It's just really what works for you. And I feel like we all have this idea that if we don't fit inside this box of what this diet is or ideal for us, then we shouldn't even try it at all. A lot of people let that derail themselves from even making the attempt to better themselves with their nutrition, because at the end of the day, every single day, you're gonna be eating. You're gonna be eating a couple of times a day. And so if you're gonna be eating anything, you wanna make sure you're putting in foods into your body that's going to nourish your overall mental well-being so that you can feel well. And then the last book that I wanna share with you guys is called Body into Balance, an Herbal Guide to Holistic Care. The reason why I am a huge advocate for holistic health and wellness and holistic living is because I'm a huge believer in the fact that you know yourself and you know your body more than anybody else. A lot of times how I've been conditioned to approach health and wellness is whenever something goes wrong, I immediately go to the doctor to look for answers and tell me how to do stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-Western medicine. I am a huge believer that there's a time and place for everything that happens in life as far as resources go. If I got in a huge accident and my arm was cut off, I'm not gonna go to an acupuncture to get that fixed. I'd go to a Western clinic. And so as far as holistic health and Eastern medicine goes, it's more so of taking on the preventive care approach, doing whatever you can to make sure that you don't get sick. That's why I said I have this book. It talks a lot about herbs and all that stuff, but it also goes through how the body works and what the potential causes for the imbalance may be. I just opened up this part of the book, but it talks about depression, anxiety, and anxiety attacks. It talks about how to improve it with diet, how to improve it with lifestyle, how to improve it with herbs, and all that stuff. It talks a lot about herbs, and so that part can be a little bit overwhelming for someone who has never gone into that. I kind of use this as a go-to book. For example, Jonathan, he's been having a lot of ankle pain and inflammation, and you can literally open it up and there'll be a part of the book that covers inflammation, ankle pain, whatever. You open it up and it'll tell you what to do to alleviate that pain and what the underlying issues or the root cause of that pain could be and how to go about that. And it even talks about how you can implement a certain diet to improve it, because diet and nutrition is a huge game changer when it comes to managing any illnesses or any pain that you may be going through. I really do hope that if you are looking to change your life and reclaim your power and take charge and hold yourself accountable for your own health and wellness, then you pick these books, because these are a good book to provide as an introduction as to the whole new world with approaching health and wellness. Try it out, learn about it, educate yourself, and then implement what you've learned within yourself. See what happens, and if you are getting benefits from it, then there's no way that you can go back. At least that's what's happened to me. So that's it. That's all that I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace, much love, and many blessings to you.